Good morning.
Purchase your tracks today.
Happy Saturday, everyone.
Purchase your tracks on ubeats.com. This beat ain't normal.
All right. Happy Saturday, everyone. I hope you are excited because I am, and I am so excited about today's topic. Before we even get started, please let us know where you are tuning in from. It is Saturday school time, the first Saturday of the month. Happy July, happy new month to you all. Again, super excited for us to be able to be joined together for an exciting opportunity to plan for our upcoming year for whoever you are. So let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, where you're watching from, and let's get started. All right, in typical TQA fashion, we have our quote for today that's going to kind of ground our work. And let me give you a moment to read the quote, and I'll read it aloud to you as well. Whether we want them or not, the new year will bring challenges. Whether we seize them or not, the new year will bring opportunities. And that's from Michael Josephson. And my question today is, we all know that a new year, a new start, whatever fiscal year, calendar year, school year, whatever year is in your purview, is going to bring us challenges and opportunities. And what are we going to do to prepare ourselves for it? So that's what we're talking about today, strategic planning. A little bit about me. I am a 20 plus year educator. I have served in multiple capacities throughout my career. I started out as a middle school math teacher, and then I went to a high school math teacher, then served as an instructional coach for elementary schools, then an instructional systems specialist, which is just a fancy name for an instructional coach. I've done that overseas, K-12. I've been a K-12 building administrator, and I am currently a professional practice and improvement specialist. In other words, a leadership coach. So I come to you with years and years of knowledge, skills, abilities, talents, and experience. In other words, I got receipts. I promise you, I am the truth. Today, our objectives is three things. We are going to follow the GPS for strategic planning. The first thing we're going to do is talk about how we gather data and insights to make informed decisions. We're then going to move into how we're going to plan our objectives and KPIs. And if you don't know what KPIs are, don't worry, we'll go over that shortly. And then last week, we're going to strategize and execute. And so our grounding framework for today is GPS, because we are going to use the GPS to get where we got to go. See what we did there? So before we even start talking framework, I want us to kind of think about 4 scenarios, okay? And I really want to add a 5th one on there because I was actually thinking about this morning about my journey to being consistent. And so I promise you that'll find its way somehow, some shape, because it's very applicable. So here are the 4 different scenarios that you may fit into. Declining employee engagement. Again, regardless of your title, if you are a school and district leader, if you are a corporate executive, there are opportunities for employees to be disengaged. Would you know? And so as a leader, put yourself in the shoes of noticing that there's a decline in employee engagement. And you found this out by looking at the participation in professional development activities, decrease in positive feedback and surveys. So that's one scenario that you can kind of frame yourself in if you're joining us and you don't even know where to start. Another scenario that you could consider is being a new leader to a new staff. So you're starting out with a new staff at a new site, and you need to be able to set vision and goals for the upcoming year. Maybe that's you. And so if that's you, you want to look at the instruction today through that lens. Maybe you are a school or district leader where you're noticing that student performance is on the decline. Let's say specifically mathematics. And this could be for your personal school, or this can be for schools in the district that you lead. Maybe you want to utilize a GPS framework given that lens. And lastly, again, we'll go back to the school scenario, increasing parent engagement. And so you are possibly a leader, a school leader, a district leader who wants to increase parental or enhance parental engagement so that you can foster a more supportive and involved community. I will say, as a leadership coach this year, these are all examples that I encountered and was able to coach leaders through this year. So that's why I kind of selected these, because they hit close to home for me, and I know that they hit close to home for you. Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little bit. My personal one that I would add that I'm looking at the GPS framework through is through, again, my journey of being consistent with my weight loss journey and my doing all the things necessary to get me back on track. So that's the lens that I'm looking at. So basically what I want to show you is that the GPS framework could be for whatever you're trying to do. It transcends leadership. It can go to your professional life. It can go to your personal life. However you want to make it work, you can. And so just follow along with me as we navigate the components of the GPS framework and how we can apply it into our various situations. You ready? Buckle up. Here we go. All right. So the very first thing that we want to think about the GPS framework in three phases, okay? The first phase is going to be the G, which is gathering data and insights. Now, it is so important to do this step, because how are you going to make any changes or do anything if you don't know what the data says? So it is very important for you to collect data and be very intentional on how you collect the data. What forms of data are you going to collect? And then what are you going to do with the data once you've identified what the data is telling you? And so here are three guiding questions that you can ask yourself as you're considering the G, or phase one, gathering data and insights. So let's talk about this. The first thing you want to do, and again, this is applicable to all of the scenarios that we talked about, is figure out what are the most significant trends and data points from the previous year. So one example was we had a new leader who was stepping into the role, new leader, new building, new site, new organization, new employees, all the news. And that leader doesn't really have foundational knowledge coming in. So my suggestion to that leader is to go figure out, talk to some folks, kind of see what was going on, what's going well, what's not going so well. And then look at the data that's presented, the actual hard number data. So you have qualitative data, people's feelings and perceptions, and then you have quantitative data. That's the hard core facts and numbers. So let's say we're in a school building, it's a school leader who's coming in. That school leader should take some time to dig through that data to find out what is going on in that building and what is the most significant trends. Not only do you want to look at the numbers, the quantitative data, you want to get qualitative data. So how do you do that? You want to ask the stakeholders, what's going on in this building? What's going well? What do you like? What don't you like? Where do you feel like there's needs? Where do you feel like there's gaps, there's holes? What do you think we can enhance? What do you think we should continue to do? What do you think we can sustain? So you want to gather comprehensive feedback from all the players in the organization. And this could look like maybe doing some surveys, doing some needs assessments. It could look like having conversations, both informal and formal. It could look like having some focus groups. Like, it can look so many different ways, but you can't make any moves until you gather data. Now, oftentimes we gather data. Let's be very, very clear. These are our confessions, but we don't do anything with it. How in the world are we going to strategic plan or make any changes if we don't analyze the data and then do something with it? So before you do anything, after you collected the data, of course, you got to do some sort of SWOT analysis. And what is SWOT? You want to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so oftentimes you'll see that in like a 4-quadrant kind of box where you and your team will kind of analyze the data to see what's going well, what's going not so well, where's opportunities for improvement, and what are some threats that can kind of hamper our forward progress. Please, please, please do something with the data. It's nothing like a leader who collects data and doesn't do anything with it. That is not acceptable. Okay, so it looks like we've selected to go with the new leader to a new situation to kind of walk us through this GPS framework. So as this new leader is walking through the GPS framework, they want to go in, they want to kind of look at the data, see what the trends are, look at the most significant trends, because you can look at data all day, but those things that really jump out at you, what are those? You also want to go in and get feedback from all the players that we're in the school system, so parents, students, teachers, community members, all the players, to find out what's going on. And then you want to do something with the data. You want to analyze that data by leveraging a SWOT analysis. Okay. So now we're going to move into phase 2 is the P of the G plan, objectives and KPIs. What the heck is a KPI? I'm so glad you asked. A KPI is also known as a key performance indicator. Basically, it's a way to kind of set what your goals are and then how you're going to measure them, monitor, and adjust. That's the short end of it. So in this phase, you want to identify what the top 3 strategic objectives will be for the year. So, of course, you've analyzed the data, you looked at the trends, and now you're going to put a plan together to address that. Okay. So you want to look at your top 3 strategic objectives for the upcoming year. And listen, I am an overzealous person. I want to do all the things. Okay. I know you hear me always say all the things. Stop. Only more than 3. It might be the building in chaos, but if you try to do too much too fast, you be successful. Slow down. No more than 3. Put that in the chat. No more than 3. Don't do no more than 3. As the kids say, you're doing too much. Narrow it down, focus in, and then go. Because if you have too many things going on, it's going to be hard for you to do some SMART goals. What is SMART goals? We want to make sure that our objectives are SMART. Our goals are SMART. That means they are specific, they are measurable, they're achievable, they are relevant, and they are time bound. I know we all know what SMART is. I know we all smart, but sometimes we get excited when we're planning goals and objectives and we don't go back to the foundation. Let's make sure that we are doing SMART goals so that we can actually measure them. We can actually make sure that we're achieving, that we're able to speak to that. We are not all over the place with just kind of guessing and checking. We are very, very specific, targeted, laser-like focus. Those are some words that come to mind when I think of SMART goals. And then also, we want to talk about what are going to be our key performance indicators that is going to measure our progress towards these goals. So let's go back to that new leader. That leader has analyzed the data with his team or her team, hopefully, right? Because we're not on the island by ourselves now. We are together. We're collaborative. We've analyzed the data. We saw that there was some significant trends that we needed to hone in on. We made those 3 top choices of those trends, and then we are going to take those 3 top choices and apply or create 3 strategic objectives. And the way that we know that those objectives are strategic is because they are SMART. They are specific, they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And then we're going to make key performance indicators for those 3 objectives to say that this is how we know that we've succeeded. This is how we're going to measure what we're doing. KPIs are also SMART, right? So this is our formula for building out our objectives and our KPIs. All right, now it's time to get to work. I just love the S, y'all. I love the S. This is where we strategize, but don't get stuck in the strategy, y'all, because y'all can strategize all day. I don't know about you. I got a to-do list, but the part that's often missing is the execute. So make sure you notice that it says strategize and execute. What does that look like? When we're strategizing and executing, we have to make sure that we have all the resources that we need to achieve our strategic objective. We might need some finances, some fiscal pieces. We might need some human resources pieces. We may need some professional learning. Remember, going back to the G, we have to do a needs assessment to see what do we need. And then when we're strategic and executing in the strategy and executing phase, we have to make sure that we have those resources available so that we can move our goal forward, so that we can achieve our objective. The other thing that we have got to remember is who's in charge? Who's going to be responsible? Because remember, we're building collaborative cultures. All the work is not on us as the leader, okay? Because if you leading and doing all the things, that's a problem. That is a recipe for disaster. We have to be very, again, specific, intentional, laser-like focused in delegation and reminding who is responsible for each aspect of the plan, and so that we can hold people accountable. Okay? Accountability is key. Accountability is key. We also not only want to talk about what resources are needed and who's responsible, i.e. delegating. What are the deadlines and what are the milestones? What are the check-in points? How we know that we're on the right track? Are we checking in? Yes. Let me just answer the question for you. Yes. Required. We are checking in, but we need to put suspenses. We need to put deadlines. And then we need to do some check-ins or some milestones to make sure that we're on the right track. And if we're not on the right track, then we need to analyze and adjust. We're going to look at the big picture. Hey, y'all, this is where we're trying to go. Remember, we're talking about GPS. GPSs are used to get us to our destination. This is where we're trying to go. Sometimes, y'all know, using a GPS system, if you make a wrong turn or if you don't follow the GPS, it'll tell you rerouting. That is the purpose of having milestones and deadlines so that you can analyze and adjust. In the GPS system, it tells you what is your expected time of arrival. You know, when you make a wrong turn or you do something the GPS tells you not to do, you notice that something went wrong when the time increases of where you got to go, right? So then what do you do in response to that? That's why it's important when you're building strategy and executing that you are making sure that you have those milestones and those deadlines so that you can pivot when necessary. Okay. And so again, thinking about that new school leader, it is important that these are the pieces that are considered when we're in phase 3, strategize and execute. Okay. One of the other at the end of it all, and this doesn't add on, this is not part of the GPS, but it's something that we should often reflect on. And this is what's called the continuous improvement cycle. So if you're trying to get better at anything, which is very appropriate to what we're talking about now, you want to ask yourself these 3 questions. How are you going to monitor and evaluate your progress towards these objectives? Okay. And that's basically what the PDCA stands for, is plan, do, check, act. How are you going to monitor and evaluate progress? So we've implemented, we've gathered our data. We've planned our objectives and our KPIs. We strategized and executed. Now, what do we do in the back end? How are we going to check for understanding? How are we going to make sure that we're meeting those benchmarks or those milestones? What process are we going to use to communicate? Hey, we're doing a great job. Keep going. Oh, this is looking great. This is, we're almost there. What process are you going to use to do that? And then what process are you going to use to say, hey, friends, team, we're not accelerating at the pace that I thought we would. We might need to kind of scale back. We might need to pivot. We might need to look at this threat that's, remember our SWOT analysis? This is a threat that's infiltrating us being productive. How are you going to communicate that? This is very important when you're setting up your strategic plan. And my favorite part, as you know, is the celebrations. How are you going to celebrate achievements and learn from, I know I have the word failures here. Failures is kind of strong. O's and uh-ohs. How are we going to bounce? All of this is intertwined. Again, we got the GPS framework going. We have the plan, objectives, and KPIs, and we have our strategize and execute, 3 phases. All right. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment while we just one more time familiarize ourselves with our GPS framework that we just kind of went through. Not kind of, we did. And thank you, Jean. Thank you for your compliment about being a great teacher. This is so passionate about this. So passionate. All right. So if you remember, friends, we started out with 4 scenarios. And I asked you to consider those scenarios or your own when thinking about coming to the table of the GPS framework and its application. And so it is application time. We're actually going to apply. So as we went through the GPS framework, I provided kind of like a think aloud, if you will, of how scenario 2 would take shape through the different phases of the GPS framework. And so if you are available to type in the chat box, it would be so great if you would tell me what number scenario resonates with you the most. What number scenario resonates with you the most? And I will try to, I will walk that scenario through that GPS framework so you have something tangible from today's session. So you can drop the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4 in the chat. And that's the scenario that I'll walk us through. We've already done number 2. So I'll say that one is kind of, we can revisit it if you want. But I would prefer you do 1, 3, or 4. Or bonus, if you were paying attention, you could drop a 5 in the chat box and I can tell you how I would apply the GPS framework in my personal life as I am trying to get my July goals together and strategically plan for that. So it's basically your world. You choose what you want to hear about. So I'll give you a minute. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. Um, you know, as you're taking your minute, I think I just want to be vulnerable. Great leaders are vulnerable. I want to talk about my journey, and so I'm gonna talk about July again. The chat box is still available for you to drop in what you want to hear specifically about. But I'm gonna talk about my goals for July. So my goals for July. Oh, I got a 5. All right, so let's make that happen. So I recently posted on my personal page my goals for July. I have been doing monthly check-ins since January, and my goals have pretty much been the same: to lose weight, to go back to my vegan lifestyle, and all the things. And every month, I kind of give an update on where things stand with that. And I'm noticing that a plan, I can't even think a plan without a, yeah, okay, I can't think of the quote that I want to say, but I have been putting out there, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then the next month I have to come back and say, yeah, friends, it didn't happen. And as I was preparing for today's session, I recognized that, how am I going to tell y'all to put a strategic plan together and I don't have a strategic plan? I'm just out here just talking about, I'm gonna just do this and that's it. No, 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 no. This is not spaghetti. We don't throw it to the wall and see if it'll stick. We have to be what? Specific and intentional. So I have been resolved to follow the Miracle Morning Savers, SAVERS framework for my personal life, which I very much believe will bleed into my professional life. This Miracle Morning is basically just an opportunity for you to get up and start your day with intention, by doing some exercises that fall under the Savers framework. And so I realized that if I were to follow that Savers framework, I would be well on my way to checking the box to all of the other things that I want to do, right? But here's the thing. I would again have just been throwing out to the world that I want to do this, I want to do that, but I haven't been specific. How, Elrod? Yes, that's correct. I have not been specific. I haven't provided any measurable indicators. You know, attainable or achievable. I've been setting myself up for failure. Let's keep it real, because I haven't been specific. I have not followed the SMART framework. Okay. And so let's do this today. Let's do this today. I'm ready. My goal for the month of July, the entire month of July, and I guess we can't say the entire month because the first week is gone and I haven't started, but my goal for the rest of July, so July, today is 6th, July 6th through July 31st, is to apply the Savers framework in my life. And by doing that, that's my goal, to apply every day from July 6th through July 31st, the application of the Savers framework. I believe that is very specific because I'm talking about the framework, and that framework, those letters in the framework stand for different things. And so I'm going to do that. I am going to measure my progress at the end of July. So let's say August 1st, because July 31st is one of the days. So I will track by checking off on a calendar that I have completed. In fact, I'll do one better. I have the Miracle Morning app. Yep, because when I'm in, I'm all in. Okay, extra. That's me. And so what I'll do is I'll track my progress in the thank you so much, because I didn't want to sit here and play myself and act like I remember what the letters were on the spot. So thank you, Jean, for putting that in. Silence, affirmation, visualize, exercise, read, scribe. Yes, you are right. Those are them. Let me, for accountability purposes, show you that I do have the Miracle Morning app on my phone. I know the lighting is kind of crazy. Yeah, and it also says in a few days because I've already tried to start this over and over. But my commitment right here, you heard it here first, is to activate my Miracle Morning app to keep track of my commitment to the Savor framework for the rest of the month of July. So starting today through July 31st, I'm going to do this. Well, it gives me to August 2nd if I start today because then that'll be 30 days. So that's what we're going to do. And as a result of following those things, y'all notice how the spare model is coming back? Y'all see that? The spare model is coming back. As a result, I anticipate to see a renewed sense of self, clarity. I would hope to have dropped some pounds or let me not even say dropping the pounds, but to establish some practices that will keep me disciplined even when I don't want to be, because I've done this for the 30 days. How Elrod also said that live your life in 30-day challenges, how impactful it is to live your life in 30-day challenges. And I thought that was very beneficial. So that is a quick synopsis of scenario number 5 that's not on the screen and how I would activate the GPS framework. I've already gathered the data, friends. Let's be clear. I've gathered the data. The data says, survey says, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, that's just it. The plan and objectives, as I shared with you, is to leverage the Miracle Morning app. And then the strategy and execute is it's already laid out for me in the app. So instead of me trying to do a calendar this and a calendar that, that's why I bought the app, because I know that I get overzealous, as I mentioned in the very beginning. I get super excited and then I don't do the things. So how I'm going to strategize and execute is I'm going to use the app, and then I'm going to do what it says in the app. And the app also, and how, if you watching this, go ahead and endorse me. Okay. I got you. I got you. The app works that they have exercises for each of the letters of the framework. So you get to do, everything is built into the app. So it's all encompassing. And so that's what I think is going to set me up for success. And in August is Saturday School, which is on August 3rd. I'll make sure that I give you a brief update on how that went, how I use the GPS framework in my personal life for scenario 5. Okay, that's a promise. Hold me to it. Again, can't get enough. This visual is just so dope to me. So I can put it in here 17,000 times. What's the key takeaways? The summary for today. Well, we know that our GPS framework is a 3-phase framework to help us be able to strategically plan for any place we lead in an organization. In the G phase, we want to make sure that we have the data and insights. And this looks like creating surveys to make sure that we are gathering qualitative data, but also quantitative data. We're looking at the hard facts, the numbers, quantitative, people's perceptions, feelings, what they think, qualitative. Okay. We also talked about another way to collect data is by doing interviews and focus groups. And then we talked about the importance of not just collecting the data, but doing something with it. And one of the strategies we talked about was the. And then we hit phase 2, which is planning objectives and KPIs. A few things that we discussed in that part of the framework was to make sure that we collaborate. It takes a team. It's not just you as the leader. There is a team approach. So make sure that you're collaborating with your team to identify no more than 3 key things, okay? Slow and steady wins the race. You got to go slow to go fast. All the things, okay? Once you have developed, collaborated with your team to define or to identify those 3 key things, then you want to develop your KPIs or your key performance indicators to measure the progress of those objectives. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you review and align your KPIs with your team to make sure that they're feasible, that they're smart. Can we really do this? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the resources? Do we have the things to make this move forward? Lastly, the phase 3, which is the S, strategize and execute. We then are here making a very detailed, specific, measurable, intentional, laser-like focused action plan for each of the strategies. So that's why I said don't do 12, because 12 action plans for the 12, that's a lot. No more than 3. No more than 3. Then what we talked about here was making sure that everybody has a part to play. So we're intentional in assigning tasks and responsibilities to the members of the team. Be very clear. This is what I need you to do. This is what your takeaway is. This is what you're supposed to do. This is your part of making the team work together. Very clear. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And then don't forget that you want to check and make sure that we're on the same page. We're monitoring and adjusting by implementing that PDCA continuous improvement cycle. And so those were some of the key highlights and points that we talked about in today's session. Now, it's your time to tell me what is one key takeaway, insight that resonated with you the most and why. And you can go ahead and drop that in the chat box. I'll give you a moment to think about that as I think about how I just I put myself on blast. I did. But I really don't have a problem with that, because I strongly believe in vulnerability and being able to establish trust and sustain relationships with the people that you lead. So it's okay to kind of put yourself out there, because you have like pseudo accountability partners, right? So I know that there are people that are watching this that's like, okay, I'm really going to check back on next Saturday school to see if she did what she was supposed to do. And I will. I will. Thanks, Jean, for saying that your key takeaways, the KPIs, and limiting them to 3. Yes, when we do too much, it gets overwhelming and we're not successful or productive. So thank you for that. Thank you, Corporation Catalyst, for allowing me to be vulnerable. And she said that she has some SMART goals that she needs to work on this month too. I'm so grateful for you all participating, and I really hope that this information is giving you what it needs to give. Okay, let's be clear. I just realized my box is too. Anyway, whatever. So next steps. What do we do with this information? Of course, make sure that you mark your calendar for Saturday, August 3rd at 9 a.m. It's going to be the first Saturday of August, as per usual. The first Saturday of every month is Saturday school time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And we're going to talk about how your first, we're going to continue on this series of strategic planning. But we're going to do we're going to break it down into 30, 60, 90 days, right? So mostly any organization that you go into, they want to know what are your plans for the first 90 days. And so throughout your strategic planning time, you want to develop your 90-day action plan and then chunk them into 30, 60, and 90 days. So in August, at August's session, we're going to talk about and reflect on how the first 30 days went, because some of you will have been how have they went, how the first 30 days went, or what is your plan for the first 30 days, okay? Because some of us are going back to work at different times, but we want to make sure that we are starting the planning process now, okay? If you need some additional support, you just want to chit chat, you want a consultation call, a strategy session, a coffee and conversation, help me, Lord, help me, hit the culture strategist up. And you can do that by accessing our Calendly link, which is on the screen, but not only on the screen, it's also in the chat box. There you go. Also, join and engage with us on all of our social media platforms. I love for y'all to like the page. That's great. But it's nothing like being a part of a community to move you forward. So join and engage means don't just be a spectator, be a participator. Okay? Get active, ask questions, respond to what you thought about Saturday. Wednesdays, always hitting on something. Come on, be a part of the community. I want you to walk away with a commitment for each of the phases that we talked about today. So let me just do this really quickly. Commitments. Please consider making data 3 commitments. Data-driven decision making. What does that look like? That means decide on how you're going to regularly gather and analyze data and use insights to set realistic and achievable objectives. All that we talked about today. All right. Commitment number 2, clear and measurable objectives. Ensure that all your KPIs are SMART. Okay, we talked about what KPIs are. We talked about what SMART is. Make sure that those SMART KPIs are aligned with the vision and goals that you have set for the organization. And then don't just set them and align them and write them, but make sure that you're regularly reviewing them and making adjustments so that you stay on track. And lastly, continuous improvement. Don't sleep on that PDCA, y'all. Don't sleep on it. You want to make sure that you are committed to implementing the PDA cycle in your strategic planning process to ensure that there is ongoing refinement and improvement. And the big thing, you're fostering a culture of accountability and collaboration in order to achieve your goals. So if you have not thought about anything else that I said today, those 3 commitments kind of summarize everything. Data-driven decision making, clear and measurable objectives, continuous improvement. All right. Here's the time for Q&A. Here's the time for Q&A. Here's the time for Q&A. You can drop any of your questions into the chat box, but I am going, and I'll acknowledge them when I see them come through. But I did want to introduce to you today our Roadmap to Success package that we have. And so again, just like we said, we're going to use that GPS framework, and we are going to work together one-on-one with the Culture Academy, or if it's your organization that you want the Culture Academy to work with, we're available to do that as well. But using our Roadmap to Success package, we will follow that GPS framework. I have said it over and over again. Don't think you all need to have me say it again. So just read the screen, and each of the framework pieces will be built into that package. Okay. I wanted to let you know, if you haven't been following us, tisk, tisk, tisk. But we are in the height of our 7 R's to Sensational Self-Care Bingo. There is a bingo card that you can request from us if you follow us and participate with us on our social media page. This is what it looks like. And so on an upcoming Wisdom Wednesday, I believe it's this week's Wisdom Wednesday, we're going to talk about where we are. We're going to do a check-in, because guess what? I always lead by example. And your girl, the culture strategist, is doing the 7 R's to Sensational Care. And so I am checking off my card. And so on Wednesday, you'll get a sneak peek into my card to see what I've done thus far. If you don't have the card and you can't wait to get it in your email, go ahead and take your phone and screenshot it real quick. Hurry, 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 hurry. And then you can start by clicking off the different things that you're doing throughout the summer. But there's a caveat. If you don't have any pictures, it didn't happen. Let me say that again while you hurry up and take the screenshot. If you don't have any pictures, it didn't happen. So when you are doing your 7 R's to Sensational Self-Care Bingo, take pictures and hashtag the Culture Academy, hashtag 7 R's to Sensational Self-Care, hashtag it so we know, like us, not like us, add us, so we know that you are doing the card, so that again you could be a part of the community. I hope you picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, enough of that. If you've missed it, I feel like I keep saying if you missed it, you shouldn't be missing it. You should already be a part of our community. But we also have a package that we talked about at our last Saturday school called It's a Wrap. And it's a way for you to reflect on how to close out major milestones or projects. And so we in that package, we toast to the triumphs by celebrating, we reflect on lessons learned, and we plan for the future, or we can interchange them, right? Just as long as we're doing these three components. So you also probably heard it as a CPR framework to resuscitate you. Because listen, after a major milestone or project, sometimes you just like, whoo, thank you, it's finished. And you might need a little resuscitation. So this is also known as CPR. Okay. And again, if you are still looking for a job, look, ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's still interview season, and the Culture Academy is still helping you to prepare for your interview. Go ahead and think about landing the job package. In that land the job package, we have resume review, interview prep, and a future plans framework. And again, how, Dr. Q, do I get a part? How do I get to be a part of this community? How do I get a chance to get access to these packages? I'm so glad you asked. Let's drop this Calendly link in the box for you again. Okay, we're gonna drop the link for you again. That's how. That's how. That's how. Hit us up on the Calendly link. Let us know what you need, and we got you. Have no fear. The Culture Academy is here. Okay, we are. All right. So once again, I didn't catch the link. I can't navigate the chat box. I'm driving. I'm doing all the things. Not a problem. We are so easy to find on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X. The Culture Academy is what you need to type in. And if you still are not sure, we have a virtual business card, an e-card, a digital card, of all the things. Scan the QR code that you see now on your screen. Listen, I do not take it lightly that you have decided to spend 45 minutes of your time with the Culture Strategist and the Culture Academy on the first Saturday of the month. I greatly appreciate you. I hope that this information is relevant and it's timely and it's actionable and it's specific and it's meeting your needs. And if you just can't get enough, if you think that this is not enough and you need more, we got you. Hit us up. We're just a click away. All right. Thank you again. We really appreciate you. Have an amazing weekend. Be your unapologetic, authentic self all the time. Don't try to fit in when you were called to stand out. Until next time, guys. Bye.